What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another pre-match fan show. Big game this weekend at the London Stadium as we take on West Ham. Definitely a better West Ham team that we've taken on in the past. Probably the best West Ham team in my history, to be honest. I mean, last year they probably performed a bit better, but still it's the same team, same dogged performances, same hard work. Yes, they don't have Lingard, but they're still a massive threat with Antonio and stuff like that going forward. Jarrod Bowen, Benrahma. I mean, they've got some really good players going forward, and they've got really solid midfield, solid defence as well. It's going to be a very tough nut to crack this weekend, but I'm going into it in a confident mood. 11 players left at home. 11 players should be fully rested and really gearing up and ready, really up for this weekend. But how are you feeling going into it?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really difficult game. We've seen how we fared in London derbies so far this season. Every game, pretty much, we've been out fought, and it's been our undoing. And obviously, West Ham is their cup final, it's their biggest game of the season. So they're going to be right up for it. And it's about whether Tottenham can match again that intensity that the opposition bring. It's been found wanting so many times this season that you get the feeling that, yet again, Tottenham could come unstuck if, we're pressed into oblivion and we struggle to come up against it. This is the biggest test for me for Højbjerg and Skip. This, for me, is where we'll learn a lot about them, because they've played really well. They played well against Villa, up against John McGinn and Douglas Luiz and the like. They had a really good game in that one. Against Newcastle, obviously really solid base, but they were given all the time in the world to spray passes around and have time on the ball. Against West Ham, it's a different kettle of fish. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be pressing Skip and Højbjerg, and it's about whether Skip and Højbjerg have enough about them to beat the press and dominate the midfield and not be scared to get on the ball and not always having to go long. Actually receive the ball under pressure and able to turn. That was what Dembele was so good about him. He was able to turn under pressure. So we'll see in this game whether they're up to the challenge or whether they're going to fold under the pressure.
Yeah. Well, for this stream, it is your chance to have your say on the game this weekend. Link is in the community section. Link is in the live chat as well. But let's bring on some guests now. And let's start off with the great Stelios from Tottenham away. Let's bring him on.
Yes, Stel.
Yes, Stel. How's it going, my friend?
Hello, guys. How are you?
You moving things around over there?
Sorry, I was just making a cup of tea, but I've stopped now.
I could have. Make yourself a cup of Stel. Feel at home, man. Feel at home.
Yeah, no, do you know what it is? I spent the afternoon, past couple of hours, Brian Daigle picked him up, met up, had a good catch up and stuff. So I haven't seen Brian in ages because I went away. But yeah, I'm back home now, and I saw you put the link up to jump on, and I thought, you know what, I haven't spoken to Ben and Sim in a while. So how you guys both good?
Yeah, both good. I mean, had to sit through that awful shit show last night. What was the Vitesse game? But I've spoken about that enough, and I'm sure you've probably spoken about that enough. But let's move on to the West Ham game. How are you feeling coming into this? Any confidence about you going into it?
Yeah, look, I think we've found a little bit of momentum in terms of the formation we're playing, and I think Nuno now looks like he's identified a crop of players that he can trust and that can play a system that works for us. The only niggling issue we've got at the moment is there's two. One is if we pick up an injury or a particular player isn't playing well and we need to make a change, you're looking at the bench and you're thinking, shit, there's literally nothing that can come off that bench because the second string squad is awful. And the other issue is we still don't look good enough defensively. The two goals Newcastle scored weren't very clever from us. And West Ham do know how to score from set pieces, and we don't look still yet capable of defending set pieces. So they're the two things that worry me. But going forward, we look better.
Yeah, but looking at the matchups, there's going to be a lot of battles, especially in the midfield battle. Do you think this is the real test for Skip and Højbjerg as to whether they're really going to be the solid base for us going forward? Because I feel like against Villa and Newcastle, They played very well. No, I'm not going to obviously say anything about those performances, but West Ham bring a new test, a bit more pressing, a bit of pressure on the ball, and it's going to be a big lesson whether they can actually receive the ball under pressure and whether they can turn on the ball and whether we can actually build up from the back rather than, against Newcastle where they were given all the time in the world in the centre, weren't they?
Yeah, look, I'm not worried about Højbjerg and Skip because I think them two together are solid. Where I would look at as an area where we really need to see players step up is, can Ndombele play like he did against a good team, the way he did against a pretty average team as in Newcastle? And I would actually drop Emerson and bring in Tanganga, because Tanganga physically is better, and also he's a Spurs boy. He knows what it means to play against West Ham. So I would actually bring in Tanganga at right back for this one particular game, although Emerson has been playing slightly better. They're the two players I'm looking. They're the two positions, the right back and the attacking mid, that I'm looking at this game. I'm not worried about Skip and Højbjerg, guys. I think we should feel confident about those two.
I mean, yeah, I get your point. We should feel confident about them, but coming up against, Souček, Declan Rice, absolutely brilliant players, they're going to bring a completely different kind of battle than the previous two midfields of Villa and Newcastle. I mean, they really will have to be on their A game and really have to be really combative in that middle of the park, won't they?
Yeah, like I said, they should be worried about Højbjerg and Skip shutting them down. Those two on their day are as good of as a defensive partnership as maybe any of the top four teams in the league have to offer. For me, it's when we've got possession, are we going to be able to score and then defend the goals that we score against West Ham? I'm honestly, guys, I'm not too concerned about defensive mid. I'm more worried about, are we going to create enough? Is Ndombele going to turn up in a big game? And will that back line not make silly errors when we get put under pressure from set pieces? But I do hear what you're saying about Skip and Højbjerg, because they do need to step up in a big game. But didn't Skip and Højbjerg both play against Man City in the first game of the season?
They did. But yeah, they did. But it's a different kind of, because I kind of expect Tottenham to dominate possession on Sunday. West Ham are not the most possession-based team. They kind of like to play a bit on the counter-attack, especially when they play against big teams. So what I'm worried about is it's not a Skip and Højbjerg out of possession. I'm not worried about them in a battle. I'm a bit worried about them when they're going to be pressed a bit and when actually they're tasked with being on the ball and maybe getting on the half turn, and whether they're, when they've got Rice and Souček up their back, if they're going to be able to handle that, because it takes a special kind of players in the centre of the park to do that, and whether they can do it remains to be seen. Look, maybe they can, or maybe they won't have to. Maybe they can just work in the transitions and that'll be fine, and that then that'll be benefit. But looking at the back line, the team that got left behind, that's obviously the one that's obviously going to start. Oh, Sai, one sec, mate. I can hear you in the background, Sai. No, I can hear him as well. Mikel Antonio has been on fire for most of the season. How do we go about combating him? How do we go about stopping him, do you think?
Shall I reply to Ben and Sim number 1, 2, 3, or 4? Look, the way you combat it is by keeping possession of the ball and not letting them get into the game. This was my biggest complaint about that 4-3-3. We were playing a 4-3-3, which is a possession-based system. It's what Ajax did many years ago when they played total football, but we didn't have the players or the team to do it. Now we're playing 5 in midfield. We can create the overload in the midfield, which doesn't give teams lots of time, lots of possession to get into the game. So if we keep the ball, we won't allow West Ham to get into the game, and that's the way I'd like to see us play. But I'll tell you my opinion over the next week, guys, because we all said at the early start of the season when things weren't going right, and we still got a few doubts about Nuno and the players and Levy and Enoch and everything that we ever talk about. We all said, let's give it 10 games. So we've played 8 Premier League games. We've now got West Ham, a midweek Carabao Cup game, which is going to be hard away at Burnley, then we've got Man United at home, and we've got the second leg of the Europa Cup. So in the next 2 weeks, Europa Cup, Conference League, the fourth game.
Right.
So in the next 2 weeks, we could easily be top 4, next round of the Carabao Cup, and back in contention to get out this European Conference League. But in the same time, we could be out of 2 trophies and mid-table. So the next 2 weeks are pivotal for me in terms of how we perceive Nuno and this squad and Paratici. So if we're serious about doing anything this season, they've got to go to West Ham and at least get a draw, minimum. So if we don't turn up against West Ham, for me, it's, Newcastle was just we played a crappy team, and against Villa, we just did well. So I look at this West Ham game as a very pivotal game in the next 2 weeks of football coming up for Tottenham.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Stel. But just before we let you go, what is your score prediction?
Listen, I'm possibly one of the most pessimistic, fed-up Enoch Levy fans out there, having fights with everyone on social media 24/7. And I actually think we're going to beat West Ham 2-1. I actually think we're going to go there and we're going to do it. I do.
Do you think resting
and that's
all
rare. That's rare coming from me. So
yeah, you think resting all the players will definitely have helped with that and try and get a result in this game?
Yeah, I do. Because look, for me, guys, I want us to win the European Conference Cup because I think it's a trophy, even if it's a Mickey Mouse trophy. It's a trophy, and it's guaranteed Europa Cup football next season. I want us to go for the European Conference Cup. Having said that, if we played Kane, Son, Højbjerg, and all them guys midweek, I think it would have costed us against West Ham. So I think Nuno made the right decision.
Do you think that, I agree with you, Stel, and in your thinking about the Conference League and everything, I want us to go out and win this tournament as well. But on the game last night, maybe he made the right decision, but do you not think maybe he should have taken at least 2 or 3 of them to sit on the bench if they needed to come on?
Oh, what a difficult question. Do you know what? I would say yes, but do you think if Kane or Son came on the way we were playing, it would have changed anything? I mean, last night, Lo Celso came under a lot of criticism, but I actually think he was trying to drive the team forward. He was trying to make things happen, but it's just the rubbish surrounding him. Dele, Winks, Davies. It's just crap, man. These players need to all go. They've been there too long. They're getting too many chances. They clearly don't have the hunger, the desire to be there anymore. Just get them out. Like last night, other than Rodon, Lo Celso, Tanganga, and Hill, I thought those 4, if you put them in a better group of players, they will step up. And Dane Scarlett and Makande, they're just too young, man. Skip, Tanganga, and Harry Kane at 17 were all out on loan for 2 years.
I mean, Markande's 20 years old.
Scarlett,
Markande's the same age as Skip.
Okay, then start Makande. Start him then. Don't bring him on for 10 minutes. Start the guy.
All right, there's a bit of a bad line, Stel. We're going to have to let you go, but thank you so much for coming on today.
Ben Sim, loads of respect, everyone. Subscribe. We are Tottenham TV. Come
Big
on,
up,
Spurs.
Stel. Big up, Stel.
Legend.
Thanks a lot, mate.
That is Stel, the legend from Tottenham Away. So go and subscribe to Tottenham Away if you want to go and see more of Stel. If everyone is in the background, can you please mute yourselves because we're getting some feedback. So if everyone can mute themselves, we'll have a much better experience for everyone. But having said that, let's bring Sai on. Sai, can you please unmute yourself now? Sai?
No, he
No?
can't unmute himself.
Guys,
What's up, Sai?
hello.
This
Can
is
you
a
hear
dream.
us?
You look like you're in a dream, Sai. You
Can
look
you
like
hear
a
me
dream
now?
sequence.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm just listening to you guys' voices 4 times over. It's putting me into a trance.
Is there something going on our end, Vinny? Because they can hear us like repeated 4 times.
It's
it-
literally, 4 or 5. I think it's on the 5 times now. So
Have you got the
fire.
stream
at least
playing
I
in the
can hear your
background?
questions clearly.
What about now? Is that fine?
That sounds better, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, is it just 2 or 3 times now, yeah? Is it sounding better now, Si?
One now.
One time.
Well done.
Perfect.
Well
All right,
All right.
big up, big
Done
up,
to the
big up.
cable guy.
Just say big up Vinny in the
We've
background.
had
He
to
sorted out
murder all the
problem.
alternate Ben and Sims just for you, Si.
How are you, Si?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. You recovered from last night?
Yeah, to the best I could, to be honest. I think it's I'm just going to sit outside with the palm trees because
Lovely.
the signal's not great inside.
You could be in the Caribbean for all we know.
Yeah. Well, why not? Well, the sun is always shining here. Yeah, guys, I think last night is what it is. Like we said in yesterday's video. I think the key thing is it's a really difficult one. I know there's always an argument like, did Nuno make the right decision or not? And you can look at hindsight. The thing is, right, if we lose on Sunday, it will be against him. If we win, it will be like, this is genius. So you're going to get both of those kind of answers anyway. But I think one of the key critical things, which I mentioned last night, and I've said it's not even last night, guys, it's a constant thought process in my mind that some of these players, and it's been like this for a couple of years now, unfortunately in the summer we did get rid of a couple of them, some are still lingering around, that their heads are not at Tottenham anymore, which is one thing, and two, they're just simply lost their way. I would argue that Winks and Dele have not been at their what we would deem their standard performance for maybe 2.5, 3 years now. So it's not a surprise. And we go on about the moral, the morale and stuff, but you have to be realistic. Like, at the end of the day, Dele, when he has played in the Premier League this year, has been appalling. Winks, we know, is pretty much a liability and is very one-dimensional in terms of his sideways passing. So there are better players. I'm a big believer in Skip. I think in Ndombele, there was too much money spent on him to leave him out and continuously needs working on. And he is arguably, albeit, yes, Newcastle last week, but I think in general his performances are getting better and better each week. And then you've got Højbjerg as well. Højbjerg's not going to be replaced by any of these players that played last night. So it's really just down to that problem we've had for a number of years now, in the fact that there's no depth. And it is concerning, like Stelios just said, is if our first team, if we get some critical injuries, we're going to be stuck. And especially as you get to that sort of December, February time, when you need the depth in place, bear in mind you have up to 5 substitutions to use, it can become very problematic. And I'm sure in January, hopefully, we might have some extra additions, but we still need to get rid of the players, in my opinion, that are too average, and creating a hysteria around the club of players, whether they were playing or not last night, right? The whole social media barrage of the club in general, it puts a negative impact on it. There's no doubt in my mind that first team players would have been watching last night, or certainly interacting with the game last night, and seeing the backlash of it from fans like us on social media and obviously media and everything in general. And it does play its part. That's why it's a bit of a concern on Sunday, irrespective of whether they are separate teams. The fact of the matter is we should be better than what we were last night, irrespective of who was playing. The attitude was absolutely disgraceful. And, and again, it's just yet another opportunity to try and win something, irrespective of how big or not it is. And we just don't want to take it. And it's infuriating. It angers me with the lack of attitude from some of these players, and especially the senior ones last night. I saw Wink's Instagram post about, being it's down to him, and the morale of the team wasn't there because the first team players weren't there. Grow up, mate. Seriously, you acting like some kid. You get paid a good decent amount of money. Of all things, last night, what should have happened is that Winks and all these players should have gone, okay, first team aren't here. This is a fantastic opportunity for me to wake myself up and show what I can be capable of. Nothing.
Yeah,
Shambles.
Absolutely spot on. But moving on to the game this weekend, big game against West Ham at the London Stadium. A lot of key matchups on the pitch. It's going to be a very tough game in terms of the midfield battle, the battles on the wings and defence. Literally all over the pitch is going to be a big battle. But where do you see the game being won and lost, and where are the most key battles for you on the pitch tomorrow on Sunday?
Well, certainly midfield is one of the key ones, because we know that West Ham have developed over the sort of last year and a half, maybe 2 years now, of some real physical mentality in their game. I wouldn't say they're the most fluent team in the Premier League, but that physicality is something that kind of West Ham throughout decades have always had an element of that. And I think that's going to be a big part of us. We know that their wingers are quite talented in some ways. I think they're going to give us a bit of a run for our money on those wing back positions. And, Reguilon and whoever plays at right back needs to be very much on top of their game. I have always a question mark about one of the centre back positions. That majorly concerns me, because West Ham are one of those tricky teams. We could be drawing throughout most of that game and it would just be a simple mistake. We've seen it year after year after year. I even remember even the old White Hart Lane games, let alone the new stadium ones, where we would go throughout a game not really doing well, and then we'll go and concede in the last 5 minutes or something from something terrible. So I think it's going to be a massive domination battle in the midfield, because that is our protection for something that's arguably a bit weak in our dimension, in defence. Do you know what I mean? So these defenders, Højbjerg and Ndombele, if he's playing, are going to have their major work rate in place for Sunday in the big game, because West Ham are always up for it. It's never easy. It's very difficult, and the fans will be right behind it. We've got to play past that, and Harry needs to be on top of form as well, of course. So everything needs to be spot on this Sunday, because any mistake or any lack of attitude or desire or fitness will be punished 100% from that lot.
Do you think man for man we have a better team than West Ham, Si?
Do you know what? It's always a difficult one to answer these days, because a few years back you'd always say yes to these kind of questions. But in general, and it goes, I think at the beginning of the season I made the point, we need to analyse who we are as a club right now, who we are as a team. Now, arguably we have 2, 3, well, I'd say definitely 2 what I deem world-class players. The rest of them have the ability to be absolutely phenomenal and are progressing in such a way. But West Ham have the advantage that they play better as a team. They play better. It doesn't matter who you have on paper, what kind of players you have in terms of talent and everything. Obviously, it has a certain aspect to it. But my thought process behind that is they are more organised, more drilled, and more aware of this game situation. Because if you look back at our history in this season alone, how we turned up against Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal, these are top London games for us, and we have never turned up to either of those 3 in this season. And I guarantee that West Ham will be all gung-ho on Sunday, and we have to match that, because I swear, the backlash that the team will get, irrespective of the Newcastle game last week, that's easy in our eyes. It should have been an easy game, really, in the grand scheme of things. If West Ham win, it's going to be extremely troublesome and continue that sort of momentum of anger and frustration from the fans. So these players need to turn up. They've had the week off, okay, so there's no excuse on the fitness side or being tired or internationals or anything like this. They've got to get their game head on and just pray that no one from last night is on that first 11. Hopefully they'll be at least on the bench to learn a few things, but it's a different game, it's a different team. We can only be positive as fans, but it's all very well having that from our side. It's the players that need to do the job on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure when you were talking about a certain centre-back, it wasn't Christian Romero, and you've had your say on Eric Dyer in the past. I mean, would you Would you start him this weekend? Would you keep persisting with him, or if not, who would you go for?
Right. The thing is, Rodon is learning, of course. Still in, I wouldn't even say interlacing because he's been there for a while now, to be honest. I would like to see him have more opportunity alongside a top quality player like Romero. Okay, because to develop as a player, and it's kind of like what Stelios was saying just a minute ago about obtaining some of these players from a morale perspective and a development perspective. To get better, you need to be also around better players. So there is an argument that some first team players should have been there last night, and that reflects as well in reversal, in my opinion. If you want these players like Rodon to really develop, they are not going to develop playing alongside terrible players like Sanchez or Dyer. If you think about it, when you're learning off someone, what on earth are you going to learn off Dyer and Sanchez? Basically, how not to defend. That is all you could learn off those two, in my opinion. But for his development, he needs to start. And I see no reason. There is not one thing in the last 2, maybe 3 seasons now that would suggest to me why should Dyer start over Rodon. If someone can give me a prime example or opinion against that argument, I'll listen. But I think I've had enough of it. There needs to be some sort of time, where you draw that line and go, we need to do something different now. And even if Rodon makes a couple mistakes in the first couple of games, you've got to go past that. Because Dyer's had 3, 4, maybe even 5 seasons. Sanchez, 4 or 5 seasons. They've had their time. They're not good enough. Let someone who you brought in to develop them. Let them play. That's who I'd want to see on the weekend. And I think Rodon also has aggression inside him and a nice little bite to him as well. And he's quite technically gifted. You need to give that a bit more time and a bit more trust. Because I'd be fuming if I was him, just sitting on benches all the time or not even in squads and just being put out on a Thursday night. That's not what he came to Tottenham to do. So that's what I would want to see. But
it's funny. It's funny you ask about Dyer because Adam William Cahill was suggesting the other day that he's only in the team because he speaks fluent Portuguese, and I actually read a report that Dyer is preferred at the moment because he speaks Spanish, Portuguese, and English, and that can help with Reguilon, it helps with Romero, and it helps with Emerson as well. So that is actually Adam William Cahill maybe wasn't too far off the mark when he said it's because he speaks Portuguese.
I mean, a lot of people have said it in the past, but everyone just seems to be it's just a running joke, doesn't it?
Yeah, it actually might be true.
Yeah, there's an element of that. I mean, the team dressing room is very important and communication is important, but hardly any of the time I see communication, so I don't really know what's being said in these different languages. Maybe he needs to go back to language school because his messaging isn't getting through to everyone, and it's certainly not getting through to him. So, Jose obviously picked him and liked him for the background element of the native language and this, that, and the other. But guys, come on, this is very amateur thinking as a club of our supposed magnitude to be playing players because they speak a certain language. Like the 3 key words really that you need to know in a team is pass, shoot, and arguably man on or tackle someone. Like that's not very difficult to understand. What other conversations
drop back
in the team? Do you know what I mean? So it would not surprise me with the way Tottenham is at the moment that is the reason why he's in there. But personally, and I've said it for a long time, just play the damn player that you've brought in to develop and learn and encourage. You've got a great player like Romero to learn off. And Emerson is a fantastic individual. And also, left back Reguilon is improving a bit more as well. There's not too many other options on the left back position anyway to replace him. But my point is, if you're trying to develop a player that has got potential and talent, you need to put them alongside a talented player or certainly someone that they can learn off. So I want to see that, but I'm just anticipating that it will be the same old every week. Dyer just lets us down constantly. I don't care whether he's had 80 minutes of professionalism. It's that one mistake that is consistent throughout the number of years. It may have reduced the mistakes, but they're still there. You've had the time, mate. Let's move on as a club and get these new players developed.
We got a comment here from
and
Alex
integrated
Priest.
into the proper team, not with some clumsy idiots on a Thursday night.
got a comment here from Alex Priestley, and he says Dyer is just a very expensive translator. Look,
Just put Google Translator on the tannoy or something. It's a lot cheaper. If you want to translate things, it's fine.
Just before we let you go, Si, what's your score prediction for the weekend?
My mind, my Tottenham hat says we're going to win 2-1.
Yeah.
My mind is pretty depressed right now with Tottenham in some aspects, so it could lead to a defeat because of like I said, the team ethic of West Ham, their momentum and their desire for this game. I don't think Tottenham have desire this season at all, and it really concerns me for this week.
Oh, was he cut off?
All right, Si.
So if I say we're going to be defeated and we win, it's going to be even more fantastic. And I'm more than happy for people to shout at me for saying that. Very positive, as you know, but very concerned attitude of some of the season. But let's see what we can do. I'm going to put my Tottenham hat on to end this call with you guys and say we're going to win 2-1.
2-1.
Right. Big up, Si. Love that. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers,
and
Si.
we'll speak to you soon. Wow, that's a bit of a change from the quadruple last season.
Just about shade of 2-1. Yeah, exactly. We'll see it.
Yeah, big up, Si. Always great having him on. Let's keep going and let's go to Kareem. Kareem, how's it going, mate?
Hello, guys. How are you?
Yeah, much better now. Kind of slightly recovered from last night. How are you doing after last night?
I mean, I'm better, slightly recovered, enjoying my Friday.
That's good. That's good to hear. Big game this weekend. Big game against a very tough opposition in West Ham. Where is the game going to be won and lost for you? And where do you think the key matchups are on the pitch on Sunday?
Of course, midfield. Midfield has been a big concern for us like this season so far. And with the introduction of Skip and Højbjerg as two defensive midfielders with Ndombele sitting in front of them, it has improved, as shown against Aston Villa and Newcastle. But as I think it was Sim that pointed it out earlier, it's defensively I'm not worried about. Going back, tracking back, doing the dirty work is not a problem. But I expect us to have possession, and this is where I'm gonna have doubts over their ability to collect the ball, from the defense, turn around and put the passes through to Ndombele and Lucas Moura and Son and Kane and these guys. So that's where really I think that's going to be a key. A really important part of the game, getting the ball from the defense, Skip Højbjerg, turning around under pressure and passing it in. Because if we're just going to start hitting those long balls, I mean, we're not going to really stand a chance this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's going to be a crucial part. And we'll see what Skip and Højbjerg are really made of in this game, I think, because I think the other performances so far have suited them in terms of how they like to play. But this game might be a bit difficult, a bit different. So it's going to be interesting to see how they compete against in the centre of the park there. But with West Ham, what they have to offer, Bowen, Benrahma, Antonio, all in fine form at the moment. How do we go about stopping him, especially Antonio, who, he started the season on fire. He's a big, strong striker, likes to hold the ball up. He can get in behind as well with his pace. How do you go about stopping him for you?
I would like to take the approach that Jose Mourinho did in his first season. I kind of like this counter-attacking approach against West Ham. Let them build towards us. I think that will play towards our strengths. Especially with Lucas Moura and Son on the wings. If we can get Kane to do what he did last year, which is drop back a little bit, okay, and then we could just hit them on the counter-attack. Because West Ham are going to struggle if we have a low block. Having a high block and pushing up is going to expose Eric Dyer's pace, for example. He's quite slow. He's not going to be able to handle Antonio running by him. So I think we should have a pretty low block. I hope we do this, low block, and just hit them on the counter-attack with Lucas Moura and Son, and Kane dropping as a false nine.
And in terms of the personnel, Kareem, do you think it's going to be an unchanged 11 from the last two Premier League games? And having said that, 11 players got left at home on the week?
It should be. I mean, it would be totally counterproductive to make any changes right now. I mean, clearly him not bringing a single player from from the game against Newcastle last night, not starting a single one and no one on the bench. I mean, to go on for West Ham and bring on like a couple of players that started on Thursday in that horrible defeat would be completely counterproductive for what he was trying to do. So he has no option. We already know the starting 11, and we just got to stick to a game plan. And hopefully, and I think this is the most important part, we need to compete. I think, the desire of the players is the most important thing in this game. 100% from everybody, 50-50, we win them. And then I think our quality will show against them. We've got 2 world-class players, and if Dombele is on top of his game, that's 3. So I think it's just about competing with them, against them, and just winning our 50-50s and giving 100%, and we'll win the game. Because I think against Newcastle we started poorly, and against Aston Villa, both halves I thought we started quite slow. So I think we need just to be 100 miles per hour the first second of the game.
West Ham have improved quite a lot over the past couple of years under Moyes. They finished above us last season. Do you think they got a better squad or better first 11 than Spurs?
I think player for player, I think they're quite even with us. But I think the differentiator comes down between Kane and Son, but especially Declan Rice. Declan Rice, I think he's honestly world class. I really see him being a top player. And someone I think I'd love to have at Tottenham, that defensive role, and now he's adding that like forward runs to his game. But player for player, I think is quite close. But then just because we have 2 world-class players, like without a shadow of a doubt, Son and Kane are world-class. So I think we've got the edge in terms of that, but it's quite close with every other position.
Interesting.
And before we let you go, Kareem, what is your score prediction for Sunday?
You know what? I'm going to say 3-1 Tottenham.
Come on, that's what I like to say.
Love
Some
it,
confidence. Come on.
100%, 3-1. I think the counter-attack is just going to completely screw over West Ham.
I hope you're right.
I really hope you're right. The one thing that really worries me is set pieces this weekend. Set pieces is where we can really become undone because, we're not good at defending them. They're really strong at attacking them. But I really hope you're right. And 3-1, I'll snatch your hand off for it right now. But Kareem, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Nice one, Kareem.
We'll talk after the game. See you guys.
Big up.
Forward.
I love it, yeah. Every single person so far that we've asked for a score prediction does a massive sigh before.
I guess I have to go Spurs with a win. After basically knowing we're not going to win, but have to do it. I'm forced to put the egg on my face. I'm literally putting the egg on my face as we speak.
Literally cracking an egg and pouring it onto my face. But let's move on. Let's go to Tatenda. Tatenda, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, was he there?
Tatenda, we can't hear you.
It was on mute.
There you go.
There you go. How you doing, my friend?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Getting ready for the game this weekend. Big game, isn't it? West Ham away at the London Stadium. A really good, solid, tough West Ham team to play. How confident are you going into the game this weekend?
I have good confidence, but problem, you have players like Dyer who can just lose you a game in 1 minute.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Against West Ham.
Yeah, go on.
The thing is with West Ham, you're under pressure the whole game. So you make one mistake, you could just lose the entire game.
Yeah, that's the truth. How good do you think West Ham are nowadays? They finished above us last year. They were challenging for Europe. Do you think, this season they've stuttered a bit? Now they got Europa League football. They've kind of had to use their squad. Maybe isn't that deep, but how good do you think they are? Do you think they're better than Tottenham squad-wise or man for man in the starting 11? How good do you think West Ham are?
I think they're better than us squad-wise because I watched them play even yesterday. I think it was Genk when I watched them win 3-0. After my depression of watching us lose 1-0, I slept better. But I think for starting 11, we are ahead just because of Kane and Son.
I think the way I look at it, maybe man for man, we are better than them. But I think that maybe they might be further along in terms of actually together as a team and playing as a team. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. They like when you watch West Ham, they outwork a lot of the opposition compared to us. Like yesterday, we were just outrun.
Yeah.
Like a lot of players were sluggish, jogging, walking. The backline was constantly under pressure. Even though they did quite well, just one chance went in. Though that was poor goalkeeping. Ah, the
Well,
pressure.
it's a different team though tomorrow, isn't it? Hopefully, the team will be up for the battle and be up for the fight. And against Villa and Newcastle, we put a different level of effort in, I think, than we did obviously yesterday. Do you think would we have to be better than we were against Villa and Newcastle to win this game, or do you think that performance would be enough?
No, we have to be better. This isn't a Newcastle or a thing or one of those smaller teams. West Ham is one of the big boys. Like when they come at you, you really need to be confident. You need to be focused. Because if they are in a better state of mind than you, you will lose the game, as we saw yesterday with the B team.
Who from West Ham worries you when you look at their team? Who do you think who worries you the most?
Antonio and Benrahma with the long shots.
Yeah.
With Antonio, yeah. I hope Romero does well against them.
That's it.
Antonio.
How do we deal with that front line of Antonio, Bowen, and Benrahma? All three of them really on good form. Started the season really well.
We outscore them. We just hope Son and Kane put up a masterclass, because clean sheet, it's not likely. It really isn't. It doesn't look like that with the way West Ham play.
Yeah. And it's not just the front three as well. It's set pieces where they're really dangerous from, with a lot of players that can score, Souček, Ogbonna, Zuma, what's his name if he plays, Craig Dawson if he plays, Cresswell delivering them the set pieces. I mean, it's not only their front line we need to worry about. How do we combat them from these set pieces as well, which we really struggle from?
The problem is we will concede them. That's just going to happen. That's how it is with us. We always concede many set pieces. And I see us probably conceding one set piece, because yesterday, even I was watching this time, they scored another set piece from a corner. It was Dawson, I think. So the thing is, we have to do our best not to concede too many chances. But we probably will concede too many chances.
Definitely. So what kind of tactics would you go with tomorrow? Do you think maybe sit off West Ham a bit, maybe bring them along and open up the space behind them and hit them on the counter attack, or would you want to maybe push a bit higher up, dominate possession, maybe get them further away from your goal, but then you risk obviously Dyer's pace getting exploited? What kind of direction would you move in?
The problem with sitting back is, can the backline manage to not break under that pressure for 90 minutes? They probably will. But again, on the counter-attack, we'll probably score goals. But the thing, if we play a high line, is the same as you said with Dyer. You never know. So it's probably best to just play that high line, to put them under pressure, because if you let them just move you around, you will probably concede, and that's the plan going out the window.
And Tatenda, before we let you go, what is your score prediction this weekend?
4-2 Tottenham.
Love that.
4-2.
Love that. Come on.
Hurricane hat-trick.
Get your money on that now. Get your money on that now. The odds are going to be very big.
Yeah, I need him for my FPL.
All right, Tatenda, always a pleasure speaking to you, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Nice to speak to you, Frank.
Bye.
See you. A 4-2 to Spurs. I want some of that.
I wouldn't mind that.
I
wouldn't
want
mind that
some
at all.
of that. All right, let's move on to Jack. Jack, how you doing, mate?
Good.
Oh, geez.
Oh, that's loud. You got a loud audio there. How you feeling coming into the game this weekend? You confident?
Of course.
Well, why are you confident? West Ham, one of the decent team nowadays, finished above us last season. What makes you think we're going to win this weekend?
Because we rest our key players, and we reckon we'll get revenge for what happened last time at London Stadium.
We're going to get revenge.
Yes.
What makes you think we're going to be up for the fight? You know, we've lost every London derby this season. What makes you think Sunday's going to be different?
By putting a stronger team out than them.
Yeah. Do you think we're better than West Ham?
We are.
Definitely. Who worries you when you look at West Ham? Anyone?
Antonio.
What worries you about him?
He's too quick here around the field.
Definitely. Yeah.
What's your score prediction for the weekend?
5-2.
5-2.
Who's going to score?
Some of the hat trick came with 2.
Wow. That'd be quite a game.
Very confident then going into this one. Very confident. Do you think a game like this, if we win it, we can really kick on and it can kind of shape our season?
Of course.
Okay. Jack, very much a pleasure having you on, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Aye.
See you, Jack.
All right, that was Jack 5-2. I mean, they're getting more confident and more confident as they go on. Let's go on to our next guest, which is Path. Hi, Path. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, can you move your camera down a slightly bit?
Yeah, is that fine?
Yeah, that's good.
That's better, yeah.
That's good. How are you feeling coming into the game this weekend?
I'm a bit nervous, to be honest, seeing West Ham's performance yesterday, but I think we can get a win tomorrow. Let's hope for that.
Where do you think the game will be won? How do you think we go about winning this game? Because West Ham have had mixed start to the season, but we know they're a very good team. We know it's a big game for them as well, being Spurs being their main rivals. So we've left all our players at home from midweek game in Vitesse. But how do you think tactically we can win this game?
I think, to be honest, West Ham have a very rotational kind of attack. So if Antonio comes to the left wing, Ben Rama can play up front, or even Gerard Bowen can play up front. So we'll definitely need to be careful about that. And I think, as for us, I think West Ham have got really slow centre backs. So I think, as someone had just mentioned earlier, we can really be dangerous on the counter attack, and especially in one-on-one situations. Great like Dawson. Yeah.
So you would sit a bit deeper and maybe invite West Ham onto us. Is that the best way, do you think?
Yeah, maybe I think that's the best way, because Antonio is too quick, I guess, for our defense to deal with him. So yeah.
In terms of the way West Ham could hurt us, you've mentioned already, Antonio, Benrahma, Jared Bowen, but they're also a massive, massive threat from set pieces, and we're obviously not that good at defending set pieces. So how do we combat that?
I generally do not know, to be honest. Like West Ham, like every single one of the players, like a threat in the air from set pieces, and it's like almost. I remember watching yesterday's game for some time, the West Ham game, and like almost every corner, like they were very dangerous from it, and I think they even scored from one. Was it yeah? So it'll be really tough, and I think Eric Dyer will really have to step up his game tomorrow.
Definitely agree with that. When you look at the two squads, do you think Tottenham still have a better team than West Ham, player for player?
I think Spurs have a better squad. West Ham have an equal starting 11. Obviously, apart from Son and Kane, I don't think there's any competition, to be honest. Like, this is a very unpopular opinion, but West Ham have a way better midfield than us. And I think apart from Son and Kane, I don't think anyone in our lineup is actually better than them, apart from Romero, obviously.
So you think
a way better midfield, you reckon?
So you think Soufal, you think maybe Souček and Rice, they all get into the Tottenham team right now?
I mean, definitely Rice. I doubted about Souček, but maybe he does. I don't know. I doubt it over Ndombele, but maybe, who knows?
So I mean, you think they've got a way better midfield than us. So how do we go in and try and win that midfield battle? Skip, Højbjerg, Ndombele.
Yeah, as I said before, I think another part of West Ham which has been underestimated quite a bit is Declan Rice's ball carrying ability. Mm-hmm. So basically, West Ham try to counter attack generally in all games. So Declan Rice picks up the ball, he steals it from a player and then goes on a mazy 20-30 yard run and then passes it to some forward. And so That's how they play sometimes, and I think we'll have to be very careful of that. And I think definitely think as I had said before, I think counter attacking would be our best option.
And what is your score prediction going into it?
3-1 Spurs.
Who's going to score?
2 for Son and 1 for Kane.
All right, loving that. That'll
2
be
for
good
Son
for
and
many
1 for
Tottenham
Kane.
fans' fantasy teams out there. So let's hope you're right. Thanks for coming on, Path, and we'll see you soon.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on. A lot of confident Spurs fans out there today. I'm starting to
Definitely.
get a bit more worried now with they're too confident.
Yeah, and when everyone's too confident, usually doesn't bode well for our score lines.
Yeah, it's gone from not knowing when our next win's going to come from to being overconfident.
3 in a row. Let's go.
Who's next? No one. Okay, so I guess that concludes the pre-match fan show. You're going to get some more content from us today. Nuno's press conference will be coming at some point. You've got Predict the Prem coming as well this evening. So everyone stay tuned. Some more content coming your way. And tomorrow is obviously match preview and the predicted lineup, which leads us in to Sunday and all the live streams on Sunday, starting off with David Harris's pre-match pump-up, moving into the live watch-along, and then that moves us in to the post-match fan show to close the day. So thank you everyone for watching today. See you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.